My name is Arthur Jensen, though most folks just call me Art. I'm 80 years old, and on the afternoon of September 13th this year, I died on my front porch. I suppose you could say my life was ordinary. I spent 42 years as a union pipefitter, raised 3 good kids, and buried the love of my life, Eleanor, 6 years back. After she passed, my world got smaller. Just my house in Indiana, my garden, and my grandkids' soccer games on Saturdays. I read the paper, watched the news, and worried about the same things old fellas do. Taxes, cholesterol, and how loud the world's gotten. I prayed simple prayers my mama taught me. My story felt finished. I was just waiting on the last chapter. Never in a million years did I think something like this would happen. That day, the day I died, was a beautiful spring afternoon. The sun was warm, and I was sitting on my porch swing, enjoying the breeze. The smell of freshly cut grass drifted from my neighbor's yard. I was thinking about Eleanor, about a picnic we'd had long ago, a small, happy memory. Then it hit, like a hot iron pressed into my chest, a searing, crushing weight. I couldn't breathe or make a sound. My hands went numb. I remember my gardening gloves slipping off and landing on the porch. Strange, the details you notice. The world blurred at the edges like an old photo fading to white. A roaring filled my ears like a train coming fast. And then, silence. Nothing. The pain, the roaring, the weight, gone. I felt light as air. I opened what felt like my eyes and saw myself floating a few feet above my body. I saw me slumped on the swing, face pale, eyes closed. It was the strangest thing. No fear at all. Just curiosity, like I was watching a movie. My neighbor, Mr. Henderson, came running. He was shouting, "Art! Art, you okay?" I saw him pull out his phone, hands shaking as he called 911. Panic filled his face, but I couldn't feel it. I felt sorry for him for the trouble I caused, but I was detached, like watching through thick glass. Then the world began to dissolve. The porch, the trees, Mr. Henderson's frantic face. Everything frayed at the edges, turning into threads of light. I wasn't floating anymore. I was being pulled, softly, steadily, toward a pinprick of light ahead. It wasn't a dark tunnel like people say. It felt like stepping into a warm river, the current gently carrying me home. The light grew larger, and as it did, I heard something. Not music exactly, more like a feeling that made sound. It was the sound of pure love. It carried every good memory, every kind word, every moment of joy, all woven into one beautiful chord. Tears filled my eyes, not from sadness, but from a release. Every burden I'd carried for 80 years, the worries, the grief for Eleanor, the small regrets clinging to my soul fell away. I felt light, I felt new. Then I was there, standing in the light. It wasn't blinding, it was alive, like you could breathe it. In the center, a form began to appear. It was a man, or rather, a presence taking a man's shape so I wouldn't be afraid. He didn't look like the pictures in the family Bible. His face shifted constantly, between a stranger and everyone I'd ever loved. It was Jesus. I knew it the way you know your own name. No glowing halo, no robe. Just a presence that changed the very air around me. It wasn't that the space got warm. It was as if cold had never existed. Time itself seemed to pause, holding its breath in reverence. I looked down and saw I wasn't old anymore. I was simply me, the purest version of myself. He didn't speak aloud. His voice wasn't sound. It was knowing, blooming directly in my soul, clearer than any words I'd ever heard. The first thing he said was, "Arthur, it's good to see you again." Again, like he'd known me before, like old friends meeting after ages. And then a memory surfaced. A memory from before I was born, of knowing this love, this place. It felt like waking up from a dream that had lasted a lifetime. I wept. I couldn't stop. I fell to my knees, not from fear, but from gratitude so immense it weakened me. The love coming from him wasn't emotion. It was a force like gravity. It held me, safe and whole. It didn't just see my flaws, it healed them. It didn't just notice my broken pieces, it mended them. There was no judgment in his eyes, only infinite understanding, an ancient, patient love. He reached out his hand and I took it. His touch was like cool water after a lifetime of thirst. He helped me stand. "There's much to see," he said, his voice flooding me with peace. "But first, there's something you must understand. The light around us shifted. Not like a movie scene change, but as though the light itself became a living canvas. A new picture formed around us. We stood in what looked like an endless hall, vast and radiant. Before us stood a man. At first, I didn't recognize him. He looked calm, reflective, gazing at his hands and the light with wonder. Jesus stood beside me, his presence serene. He simply said, "Watch." Then I recognized the man. I'd seen him on the news before. It was Charlie Kirk. He looked younger, but it was him. Here, no one could hide who they were. Age, titles, wealth, all gone. Only the soul remained. His soul radiated love for truth and for his fellow Americans. Then, a scene formed before us. Not a screen, but real. A memory. Charlie stood before a huge crowd, speaking with clarity and passion. His words gave hope and purpose. He was articulate, thoughtful, and inspired people to engage with their country and communities. As he spoke, Jesus showed me something remarkable. His words weren't just sounds, they were things, like glowing seeds scattered into fertile ground. I watched them grow. Many seeds blossomed beautifully. A lost young man found direction, inspired to serve in local government. Another person became a better father, standing up for what was right with kindness. College students found courage to speak their values with grace and intelligence. These seeds grew into bright trees of civic engagement and responsibility. I saw his work encouraging young people to think critically and love their country while improving it. His message spread through families, schools, and communities, creating bridges instead of walls. His words reached a struggling single mother. His message about dignity and perseverance gave her courage to return to school, changing her family's future. That single spark altered generations. I saw debates where his passion inspired reflection, not division. Even those who disagreed were challenged to think deeply, creating richer dialogue and stronger ideas. But Jesus also showed the hard moments, when good intentions met human limits. I saw words spoken in frustration, harsher than intended, the loneliness of public life, the ache of watching a divided nation he deeply loved. Then came something beautiful. I saw Charlie praying, alone, not for cameras. I saw him asking for wisdom, wanting to be an instrument of good. I saw him reading scripture, seeking guidance to love his neighbor while standing firm in truth. Jesus stayed silent. I simply watched. I saw a soul that cared deeply, trying to make a difference in a complex world. Then other visions came. Charlie mentoring youth, supporting veterans, funding education, lifting communities, quiet kindness, private prayers, moments of generosity no one ever knew about. I saw the full picture. Not a perfect man, none of us are, but one genuinely trying to use his voice for good, a man who loved his country and wanted others to thrive. His heart was sincere, even when his actions faltered. The vision ended. We were back in the endless light. Charlie Kirk's soul stood there, seeing his life with perfect clarity. He wasn't weeping, only deeply understanding. He saw his good and his shortcomings. There was no condemnation here, only truth, offered with perfect love. Jesus moved toward him, his steps filled with the quiet pride of a father watching his child grow, learn, and strive to make the world better. Charlie looked up, recognition and gratitude in his eyes. "Lord," he said softly, "I tried to serve you by serving my country and my fellow Americans. I hope I did some good." Jesus' voice filled the light, warm with love and approval. "My son," he said, "you used the gifts I gave you to awaken hearts, to inspire others to think, engage, and care for their communities and nation. You encouraged the young to seek excellence and truth. Your heart was sincere, your work real, and your impact greater than you knew." He paused, his eyes filled with compassion. "In a world that chooses cynicism, you chose to believe in hope. In a culture that preaches despair, you spoke faith. You reminded people that they could make a difference. Those are good works, and they have borne good fruit." Charlie's face brightened with joy. Not the joy of escape, but the deep relief of someone affirmed by the only voice that truly mattered. Jesus continued, "Every young person you inspired, every family you encouraged, every life you uplifted, these were acts of love, whether you knew it or not. When you help others become their best selves, you do my work." The scene glowed as Jesus embraced him. The love between them unmistakable. The love of a creator for one who used his gifts for good. Then it faded. I stood alone with Jesus again, my heart overflowing. I had seen not judgment, but joy, not condemnation, but celebration. "Why?" I asked. "Why did you show me that?" His gaze was full of purpose and warmth. "Because the world has grown weary, Arthur. My children forget that I rejoice in their efforts to do good. They think they must be perfect, but I am glorified when they simply try, when they choose love and seek to make things better." He paused, eyes glowing with hope. "You have a good heart, Arthur. You understand that small acts of love matter. Go back and tell them. Tell them that their efforts to bring hope, love, and light into the world are seen and celebrated in heaven. When they choose engagement over apathy, hope over despair, love over indifference, they are part of my redemption." Suddenly, a new longing filled me, not to stay, but to share this truth, that every effort to love, serve, and uplift is honored by heaven. "I want to tell them," I said, voice trembling with purpose. "I want people to know that you see their efforts and are proud of them when they try to make a difference." A radiant smile touched his face. "Yes. Tell them I do not seek perfection, only sincerity. Every act of love, every word of encouragement, every attempt to build rather than destroy, these echo in eternity." "But I'm tired," I whispered. "I miss Eleanor. I want to come home." He placed a hand on my shoulder, his touch filling me with peace and strength. "She's here and she's proud. But your race is not done. You still have work to do. Teach your children that their lives matter, that their love and service is seen above. Your testimony will plant hope. You may not see the forest, but it will grow." His eyes shone with such love that my purpose became clear. "I'll go," I said firmly. "I'll tell them you see their efforts, that you celebrate their goodness." He smiled, and the light seemed to expand across eternity. "Do not fear. I am with you, and proud of all who try to love well." Then he squeezed my shoulder, and the world of light began to fade. I fell, tumbling through darkness. A roaring sound filled my ears. The freight train again, and then a violent jolt of pain. My chest burned like lightning had struck. A blinding white light seared my eyes. Voices shouted, frantic and urgent, "We've got a pulse. Stay with us, Mr. Jensen. Stay with us." I gasped, a ragged breath tearing through my lungs. My body ached everywhere. A tube was down my throat. I tried to speak, but only croaked. My eyes fluttered open to see the back of an ambulance. A young paramedic leaned over me, trembling with relief. "Welcome back, Mr. Jensen," he said, voice shaking. "You gave us quite a scare. You were gone for over 9 minutes. 9 minutes. It had felt like a lifetime. I spent the next 2 weeks in the hospital. The doctors called it a medical miracle. An 80-year-old man, massive heart attack, clinically dead for 9 minutes. They said I should have had severe brain damage if I woke up at all. They used words like unexplainable and remarkable recovery. They didn't know. They couldn't know. I tried telling a nurse once, but she just smiled and said I was still processing trauma. But I know what I saw. It's more real to me than the chair I'm sitting in. It's etched into my soul. So, that's my story. I know it's unusual hearing an old man from Indiana talk about visions of Jesus and Charlie Kirk, but Jesus gave me a message, and I promised I'd share it. This isn't about politics. It's not about being Republican or Democrat. Please hear my heart. It's about being human, realizing your efforts to make the world better matter deeply to God. The world feels discouraging. Everyone seems angry. Hope feels like it's slipping away. But I saw the truth. I saw heaven rejoice when we choose to care, to act, to try. Heaven sees your efforts. God is proud when you choose hope over despair, kindness over cruelty, action over apathy. When you build something good instead of just pointing out what's broken. Your influence echoes in eternity. Every time you inspire someone, every time you choose to build instead of destroy. Every act of love or service. These are seeds planted in the garden of life. They grow in ways unseen, but one day you'll see the harvest. So I'm asking you, as a grandfather would his grandchild, don't give up. Don't let the noise or anger convince you your goodness doesn't matter. It does far more than you think. Before you speak or act, ask yourself, am I building something good? Am I offering hope? Am I loving well? Because in the end, in that place of perfect light, those are what heaven celebrates. Heaven is real. Jesus is alive, and he's cheering for every sincere effort you make to love and make the world brighter. He sees you, he believes in you, and he loves you more than you can imagine.